Good morning.
Tomorrow, I'm decked out. I've got all my frilly stuff, my orange stuff on. Yes. Tomorrow, December the 3rd, is my 10-year WikiTree anniversary.
Wow. Happy Wiki anniversary.
10 years.
Wow. That's great,
That's
Meg.
exciting.
Wow. So, Megs, for tomorrow, you should sign your name MAGX.
Oh,
yeah.
I was thinking Royal R.
No, the Royal R. Okay.
Royal R. Yeah. So 10 years on WikiTree. How about that? That's crazy.
That's amazing. That's great.
So I didn't even tell that Greg and
No, I was wondering what the thing was.
Yeah, well, I got a note from Chris about a week ago, and he said, "You've been around for 10 years," and he said, "I didn't realize that," and I said, "I don't believe you," to him. Because I think he knows everything that goes on. So
I think he does. Yeah. So you're twice as much a WikiTree as I'm, because I've done my 5th year now.
You've only been on 5 years. Gosh, it seems like you've been here longer than me.
Yeah, I don't know.
You seem so much older than me, Greg.
No, I don't know. But you're the wiser one.
Watch out! Don't smile too big over there, Betsy.
I'm staying out of this. Yeah. I'm only 4 years old on WikiTree.
Oh. So good morning, everybody. It's time for the Saturday morning live cast, and it is my 10-year anniversary tomorrow, so I'm having fun. Brian, you won the Winky button for being here first. Good grief. You're like at 8 this morning. It says 8:01.
Wow. It's an hour earlier in the East Coast where he is. So he has a jump on it.
I don't give him a break.
Point of pride at this point.
Exactly.
Don Piner's not going to be here because he got shuttled off to a birthday party, but he came in to tell us how fun. And Sue Carrera is here. Lisa Gervais, all my Ottawa peeps are talking about the amount of snow we have. You got snow, Greg?
I've got snow. Yeah, we didn't have much yesterday, and my son was driving up, and of course it started snowing all through his drive. But
yeah,
we've got about this much. Yeah.
Murray Maloney is here. Hey, Murray.
Hey, Murray.
Some time with Murray and some talks this week. Lynette Jester's here. June Butka. She's baking.
All right, June.
She's not baking blueberries. She's baking apple stuff. I don't understand why people bake apples. They're only good when they're crisp. Donna Gerber's here. Christine Miller's here. Chris Ferriello's been running on. He's been running around in the chat. So Laura W's here. Hey, Laura. Susie Carter's here. Let's see who else is here. Hillary Gatsby.
Hey, Hillary.
Snow on the mountains, but it will not last long. Does it just get blown off the mountains there in Wales? Yeah. Azure's here. Azure had big news this week.
Yes.
Azure is now what is she? The butterfly? What is she?
Social
monarch. Is she a monarch? I forgot what they call her, but she's the social butterfly for WikiTree.
Oh, nice.
On the team. She joined the team, so congratulations to Az on that.
Excellent.
How about that? Victor Rose is here from St. Louis. Judy Stutz. Alice is here. Vicky. Let's see. Crystal J is here. Yoke is here. Hey, Yoke. Let's see. I think I've got it. Willadine's here. Who else is here?
Chris Wine.
Vicky. I think that's good. We'll have more people file in after a bit. You guys check out the question of the week. Did you?
Haven't looked at the answers, but
yes.
I gotta share my screen. I gotta stop and then present and figure out how to do my screen right. The window, and I want that one. Well, it's about what do you have in your genealogical toolbox.
Ooh.
And this question's been asked over and over and over again. It's only 12 answers this week, but that's okay.
Oh.
Make sure you go through, read them, and upvote them. And there are quite a few good answers. Mine is pretty running of the mill, really. Ancestry, family search, of course, newspapers.com, amazing leads through Google Books searches. Most helpful resources are the Historical Society group in all local libraries. Yeah, remember your local stuff, because that's
Absolutely.
I've done a lot of research in Raven County, Georgia, and unfortunately I can't get there, but I talk to local historians a lot. So yeah, that's good. They found Allie found a picture, an old yearbook from 1933 with a picture of her family, her grandfather in there. That's so cool.
Nice.
I want to say that there's a tool on WikiTree that's kind of deprecated that I still use, talking about looking in old books. If you're on a profile like my great third great grandfather Joe Hammond, which I don't know how to connect him to the rest of his family yet, but if I go up to here and I scroll down to research, you can click on that and it will take you to the research page where it fills in all the information. It gives you the opportunity to check all these different things. Now, this has not been updated in a while. Justin York designed this for WikiTree. It's a great tool. It does still work. It's easy to get to. I know that we have the great new tool on the Sorcerer that does a lot of this, but the Sorcerer has not added one thing that I know about, and that is genealogy gophers. Now, this has mainly U.S. stuff in it, but since I'm an Appalachian girl, Biscuit, this will look through books and other things for the name that you're looking for. And I have found such cool bits and pieces of information on like my Galding family, because my Galding family, that's such an unusual name that I've found mentions of the property that they've owned in Virginia being called Galding Town in some obscure book. So just look at, I don't even know if any of these have anything to do with my family, but this is from Normandy in Great Britain. It's a book and it has a guy named Joe Hammond in it. There's one here for York Deeds that has Joe Hammond, has the dates of 1720. Joe and Susan Hammond from Boyd's Marriage Index. So there's lots and lots of stuff that you can find on Genealogy Gophers. It's a free site. They like to take donations. I give a small bit every year and I get, carte blanche on all of my searches and get to go. And if you click on one of these, it'll take you to the actual book page. Wow. And it'll give you just like a other search where you can find Joe Hammond listed and all of that information. So genealogical gophers is one of my toolbox things, and I wanted to mention that. So nice. That's fun. Allie Ruff, thank you for sending me down that rabbit hole with everybody. Greetings all. This is Kimberly Morgan, and she says she agrees with Allie. Found small historical society in Comundy, Illinois. And the director actually not only knew my relatives, but went to school with some of my aunts and uncles. Again, having the small genealogy societies in your area as a part of your toolbox is a big deal. Karen Saraga says cousins. Cousins are a part of her genealogical toolbox. I agree with that. No matter how distant. I've made some invaluable cousin connections through Facebook genealogy chat groups focused on counties where ancestors lived. I've done that as well. I had not as many as I've made on WikiTree. Other connections were made through DNA cousins who shared information, photos, and stories. Some found by researching through FTDNA and Ancestry, especially the Y-DNA researchers linked to my cousin's test that I manage. And I find that the DNA group projects over at Family Tree DNA are a wealth of information on family names. So this is really good. She says, don't underestimate the power of cousins and don't get discouraged. Thank you, Karen. And since I volunteer searching for Kentucky, United States Colored Troops Project, I do quite a bit of military research. So Fold 3, Family Search, Ancestry, Find My Grave, Chronicling America, GeneaBank, and WikiTree. I love that so many people mentioned WikiTree. Audrey Martin, that was from Audrey Martin. The National Archives Next Gen Catalog account. This is from Robert Teague. He says NARA resources for genealogists and History Hub. I've never heard of History Hub. an online research community sponsored by NARA. I love these tools, and they have led me directly to several unique sources valuable to my Native American research. Same with several state historical societies and ever-expanding digital collections. I've never heard of that History Hub. Have you guys? No. Yeah.
I'm not sure.
Jumping on over, let's check Lucas Murphy. He says, my genealogy toolbox includes anything and everything. All right, the kitchen sink. The great thing about WikiTree is I can source anything and everything as well. That's, yeah, and keeping track of stuff, like, those to-do notes, just keeping track of things. We all know the online resources available, though ever-changing, adding new surprises. I'm lucky enough to have started genealogy well before the internet, so I'm very familiar with local societies and courthouses, as we all should be for non-digitized records. Here's another one. The long story short. Think outside the box is my motto for my toolbox. That's a good one. Let's go on down. Primarily it consists, this is Giada Rosado. This is fun. This is for Chris Ferriello and for Greg. Primarily consists of family search, which I use for the record catalog. In it, there's then the graves living in a small town in Italy, and having almost all my relatives buried within the same cemetery. It's been an extreme help. Last but not least, I use my family members as witnesses. In fact, I'm lucky enough that I have my dad, my aunt, my dad's cousins who helped me construct my family tree through their memories almost back to the 1830s. So here we go, cousins again, family. I like to use private records from family members, including photographs, as well as family search for birth, death, marriage, land, and census records. I always look at the image on each source because not all information in the image is described in its citation. That is so true. Sometimes you're looking at the record information, not just the citation, but the record information, and something just seems a bit off. Always check and verify the information in the record to make sure that it matches what the actual document says. And I found it interesting. I was looking through some stuff for Ancestry, and they had all of the corrections. There were like 10 corrections for this name, saying that the transcription was incorrect. And they were giving the change, but the change has never been made to the actual record. It just it's just interesting that they just note that there have been 10 people who have said the same thing. This is spelled wrong. DNA can provide useful information about a person, but it usually does not help to create profiles. DNA can enhance profiles once they're created. An exception could be when a family member is identified through DNA, but the genealogical information is missing. We still have not discovered how to connect Emma Cerruti Manuel to the family tree, and there she's giving you that. If anybody wants to go find that for Marion, she'd appreciate it. When I create profiles from family trees and other sources, such as photographs handed down from generation to generation, I follow up with primary sources to corroborate those records. So that was from Marion Cerruti. Jumping on down. Okay, so up at the top, we're talking about an underappreciated resource for U.S. records is LDS Genealogy. And it's ldsgenealogy.com/directory/. I typically browse down to the county level, then pick the type of record I'm looking for, land, probate, tax. It will show you where the records can be located. Family Search and Ancestry are the obvious ones, but I'm often surprised by some valuable sites that I've never heard of before. It's especially useful for finding what newspapers were around for each year, whether or not they're online or offline. I've never heard of that. The ldsgenealogy.com. So I'm going to go look that up. And oh my goodness. Okay, I got to do this. All right, Brian, you were here first. There you go.
There we go. Best answer. Oh, look at all those Canadian resources.
Yeah, so I've answered one of these with a video in a while. So here is my video to answer this question of the week. I'm not going to show you the video. Go click on his video and watch it. Brian's always fun to watch. And I will watch your video, but not right now. Yeah. So he's got all sorts of great Canadian stuff in here. The Canadian Archival Network. Are you familiar with that, Greg?
No.
I am not
No.
either. Yeah. The Canadian War Museum Military Research Center, which is like almost in my neighborhood. Glenbow Library and Archives, Hudson's Bay Company Archives. Wonder why Glenbow Library and Archives is significant. Is that located somewhere specific, or is it to war stuff? That's interesting. New Brunswick. He's got stuff. Newfoundland Provincial Archives, the Rooms. Never heard of that.
Ooh.
Yeah. Look at that. Look at this stuff.
This is great.
I wonder if that could be, if this information could be connected over to the Canada Project, you know, just as
they may all know about it, but Greg and I are just idiots.
Some of this for sure is on the Canada Project page. I'm wondering is it all there or no?
Maybe it could be cross-checked. This is great stuff.
Isn't that great stuff? Isn't that great stuff?
It
and
is.
The great thing is that there are people in the U.S. who have so many connections to Canada. This is also helpful for them.
For sure.
Chris Whitten has Canadian roots.
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys know that. So he would probably be interested in this stuff. Look at this. All right.
Wow.
So, and then there's a new one added down here from Margaret Meredith. I didn't even see this one. Oh, maybe I did. Seems to be a fabulous utensils, hardware, software, and materials. Ancestry Fold 3 US Gen Web. Nobody mentioned that, but the Gen Web pages are really good. She's talking about specific stuff to Tennessee State Library and Archives, and she's got links. Klutz by Ancestral Systems software. I've never heard of that. And then there's another one called Goldie May. Goldie May,
yes.
And then there's gramps.org that I use. That's my software for my computer at home, where I download a GEDCOM from WikiTree every few months to just back up my latest or everybody else's latest, since it's the cloud.
Yeah, that's right.
Thank you, Margaret Meredith. And how many bookshelves do you have? I like that question. Not enough. I've been thinking this week, could I put another bookshelf right here?
Yeah, that's great. Would anyone notice? Yeah.
I need a TARDIS.
Exactly.
So that is our question of the week. There you go.
I have one to add. That I didn't see there. I'll put it in the chat as well. Fulton postcards, which is actually, it's newspapers. It's one gentleman who's been digitizing newspapers for maybe 2 decades. It centers on Fulton County, New York, but I've had luck. I mean, he ventures over into Canada a little bit, and so good stuff there.
That was accidental that popped up. It truly is, but this is my profile. This is my picture of the week. The picture of the month, because Betsy wanted us, because we don't have photos of the week up or the month up yet. And Betsy wanted us to show some photos. And I made this collage yesterday of this year's Roots Tech with Murph Moose face down, dead tired, fell off the table, and nobody rescued him. Anyway, that's me and Greg and Roberta. And then Greg and I, we were actually doing the live cast from Roots Tech. That's the front of us and that's the back of us. It's awfully cute. Look at your ears, Greg.
Oh my.
And then Ellen Thompson Jennings and Sherry Hudson Passy. Yay. So that's my photo of the week, but I'm going to go away. I didn't mean for that to pop up, but since it did, sorry.
Sneak preview.
Well, Greg, should we do, I mean, we've started photos now. Greg, do you have your photo?
I have my photo here. Let me just slide it over to the correct monitor. And there we have it. And,
this is the best picture of the year for anybody.
Okay,
this is, I don't know how he got WikiTree colors in it.
Yeah, there we go. Can you see it?
Nope. Got to share it. Here we go. I got it.
Oh,
okay.
Can you believe that?
Yeah. So this is from Thanksgiving this year. So, and this is my biological siblings Thanksgiving. So, because I've shared the story before that I'm adopted, and the reason I came to WikiTree is because I discovered through Ancestry DNA test my biological family after some some help with some cousins and stuff. And I met my biological brother and sister on Family Day in 2018. And our half sister, I met her in person about 6 months later. But anyway, so there's my wife, Julie, on the end. This is my full sister, Tracy, of course, myself. This is our half sister, Tara, and then my full brother, Marty. And on the end is Claudine, who is actually my half sister's half sister, who we just discovered this spring. So this picture was Tara, my half sister, there hosted our siblings Thanksgiving together in just before the Canadian Thanksgiving, end of September. So
wow,
that's a really nice picture taken from her property, and with my brand new iPhone, which was only a few days old at the time. So I wanted to test it out and how it did, and it just worked out wonderful. And
we love your WikiTree filter.
I know. It's like it looks better in the picture than it actually looked. Even looked more amazing than it did in real life. I mean, it looked beautiful in real life, but this was turned out really well. So
I hope you have that framed somewhere.
I know. I was just going to say the same thing.
I don't yet, but I should.
Yeah,
I should definitely do that. Indeed, that's an excellent idea. Neat. Okay, so are you going to share yours?
Yes, yeah. And to respond to Yoke, the December months, 12 months of photo for December is not up yet, but I'm sure it will be very soon.
That's why we're showing you all these.
Yes, yeah. You know, December 1 it snuck up on me. It was, I don't know, being a Friday, and I was like, what?
That's right, yeah.
December? So here's my favorite photo. It was really hard to pick because I have a lot of favorite photos, but these are some of the McMurray cousins in Niagara Falls. So on the far right, the little girl with the long blonde hair, that's my mother. And then the two in the middle are sisters. They're the Niagara Falls cousins. And then on the far left is my aunt, my mom's sister. So judging from my mom's age, probably taken in the early 1942 or so.
Vinny. Oh my. Okay. Should we go on to the question or the profiles of the week?
Yeah.
If Finnegan will let you.
If Finnegan will let me, yes. So we have friends, or well, my son is here, and he brought a dog. Oh, Lola, hello. No, you stay out, Lola. He brought his dog with him, a beautiful German Shepherd, and Finnegan wants to go play, but I'm not. Do you want to go play? Okay. Let's see. Okay, out you go. We'll see. We'll see how this works out. Could be chaos. But anyways, because of the recent passing of Rosalind Carter, the profiles of the week are all about first ladies. And which first lady are you most closely related to? And I think Rosalind's mine. Oh, it did load. Took a while to load. Here's. No, of course, the Canadian Marion Pearson is my closest.
Yeah, Mary Pearson is yours.
Right.
Sorry, I had to turn the heat on.
Oh, so let's start off with
Rosalind Carter is my closest at 17.
Oh, that's nice. Nice. And what about Betsy? Who's your closest?
Mine is
I'm going to let you pronounce it.
And Raymond Giscard d'Estaing.
Okay.
Yeah.
The French First Lady.
Yeah. So, interesting.
So Eleanor Rosalind Carter, born Eleanor Rosalind Smith, daughter of Wilburn Edgar Smith and Frances Alethea Murray. So very cool. The very first thing in her biography, which is so cool. So she was born on the 18th of August, 1927. And her delivery nurse was Lillian Carter, Bessie Lillian Carter, a neighbor who would become her mother-in-law.
Oh,
isn't that wild?
That's fun.
That is so cool. And She even brought Betsy, even brought little Jimmy over to meet the new baby a few hours after the birth. So like, it was kismet. They were destined.
She's my 16th cousin through my Georgia family.
Oh, wow. That's neat. So Rosalind was the eldest of 4 children born to Francis, Lethea, and Wilburn. He was a farmer, councilman, owned and operated the county's first auto shop. She had 2 younger brothers and a younger sister, and strong religious family values, of course. Sadly, when she was only 13, her father died of leukemia. She was valedictorian of her senior class in high school, and she was close friends with Jimmy's sister Ruth, and then she began dating Jimmy when he was on break from the U.S. Naval Academy, and they got married after the war in 1946 at Plains Methodist Church. And then when Jimmy's father died, of course, they had to move a lot because of his career in the Navy. But then when his father died in 1953, they returned to Plains, Sumter County, Georgia, and he took over the family peanut business. And she was integral in running the business and continued to be a partner in Jimmy's life and his political career as well. He went from state senator to governor, and of course, eventually to president. But she was also, as the Georgia's first lady, she focused on mental health, which is something she focused on her whole life in all of her roles, serving on the governor's commission to improve services for the mentally and emotionally handicapped. She toured the nation during the presidential election. And when this is interesting, when he was elected president, she declared that she had no intention of being a traditional first lady. And by that, she meant she wanted to go beyond just being the hostess at the White House. So she actually had her own office. She was the first lady to have her own office in the White House. And mental health advocacy continued to be her top priority. And when they left the White House, they returned to Plains, Georgia, where they spent the rest of their lives. So they received lots of awards throughout that. She was inducted to the National Women's Hall of Fame, only the 3rd first lady. So it's not just because you're the first lady of the U.S. doesn't give you a free pass into the National Women's Hall of Fame. So I thought that was pretty impressive. Yeah, so it's a nice, really nicely well-written profile. Good stuff there. And then so Jimmy himself was in long-term care and hospice. And then I didn't realize this. I did hear that she had been diagnosed with dementia, but just in the spring of this year, one neat here thing, they became the longest wed presidential couple, having celebrated 75 years 2 years ago, and they just celebrated their 77th anniversary this past July. And then she moved into hospice in November and then passed away 2 days later. So they were together in the end. Isn't that sweet?
And they had their daughter Amy was at college, my college, when I was there. But was that their only daughter? I know
they have, yes, their only daughter. Yeah. Very neat, eh? Very good. So I'm wearing orange, but I'm wearing my Hacktoberfest shirt again this week. And because I'm kind of excited because I'm going to show off the app that I was working on during Hacktoberfest that never got released, and isn't officially yet in the Tree apps, but it's in the test server of the Tree apps. So it's one step closer. Brian, who is the one who has been doing a lot of work in the back end for the WikiTree servers, the official WikiTree servers, where the Tree apps themselves live, has to do some stuff before it gets, and I don't want to distract him from the important work he's doing, but Jamie has taken my app and put it on the test server, and the link to that is there's a banner I made right there. So if you want to go to the server, that's the link, and I'm going to show you. Here it is. So the app is called the Super Big Family Tree app. And when you first get to it, so here is what Rosalind Carter, when you first get to the app, the whole purpose of the app is to make a giant family tree, and you can customize it and extend it in lots of different directions. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take sort of a snapshot of the various profiles showing off different features of the app. So here is the first shot you get when you open it up and you use Rosalind Carter's WikiTree ID up here. And I'm going to copy and paste and put that in the chat as well. So if it's easier to copy and paste from the chat message as opposed to from the banner, you can do that. And so what it does is it automatically loads there's Rosalind Carter. Now, because her first name was Eleanor, that's what shows up by default on the card, but you can customize that. There's the settings gear here, and there's lots of different ways of customizing that. If I said show usual name, there we go. Change from first name at birth to usual name, and then we get the Rosalind. Okay, and it shows 2 generations, so her parents and grandparents, shows her siblings, her spouse, and children. So 2 generations of ancestors, 1 generation of descendants, and their siblings. So that's the default view of the app. And I'll be going back and forth showing and talking about many different aspects of the app. So the next one, Zara Kate Dickens, who became Dame Zara Kate, was born on the 10th of March in Kew, Victoria, Australia. Passed away the 14th of June, 1989 at age 80 in Surfers Paradise, Queensland, Australia. If you have to pass away, Surfers Paradise sounds like a nice place to go. So she was born in there. She born in 1909 in Australia. Educated at home before attending the girls' school in Kew, and then Toorak College. She met at age 16, Harold Holt, who romance blossomed, but he refused to propose to her until he was able to adequately provide for her. So throughout the profile, which is a really well-written profile, gives lots and lots of details, which I can't go through in all the detail today, but I highly encourage you to read this because it's very interesting. But there's a number of times where it alludes to the fact that she wanted to get married, but until he wasn't ready, he wasn't financially able to provide support, so he didn't want to he wanted to do it right. Seems to be the way. In the Depression, she borrowed 150 pounds from her father and established a little dress shop in Melbourne with her friend Betty James, which is interesting because later on she establishes another dress shop with the same person after she's married. She becomes Betty Grounds. So it's neat. One of her first business ventures leads to another one with the same person. Because he refused to marry her, she departed on a round the world cruise. This Harold Holt, and when she came back, she met and fell in love with James Heywood Fell, who was a British Army officer, and together with him, she gave birth to 3 sons while they were still married. Looks like there's a question about paternity of the last 2 boys, but I don't know how WikiTree has dealt with that. I didn't actually investigate that, so I'll just leave that for you to investigate. But after that, that's when she opened the boutique called Mag, which became fairly successful with her former business partner, Betty. It's funny. By her own admission, Zara could neither cut nor sew, but she was creative and she could manage people. So that was her contribution to the business venture. Anyway, she eventually did marry Harold Holt, and then Mary Harold Holt, and then she became Dame. He passed away. Let's see. I lost my place here. After his memorial service, and he passed away. Then she had lunch with Queen Elizabeth II, and also visited President Lyndon Johnson, became Dame Commander of the British Empire. So very interesting person there. So looking at her, so she has a fairly small WikiTree footprint right now, and I can just zoom in a bit. And on this one, she doesn't have. There are no more ancestors beyond her parents. So the app, when you try to go up there, it tells you that no ancestors to load beyond that. But one of the options I've added, and this one was actually at the request of Murray Maloney, and is to add a checkbox to turn on or off siblings. So with her profile, I mean, she only has three siblings, so that's not a big deal. But if you're dealing with a family where there's 15 siblings, even this very initial default view can get very busy and very distracting. So that's a handy little feature that I hadn't thought of before. And I do have to give huge props to Murray for help in development of this app. So he also has helped me and created, and I'm going to show you shortly, the help page, which you get to by just clicking on the question mark there. And he's gone through all the details as the app has progressed and had to change some pictures many times and whatnot. And he's given me many ideas on how to improve it. So this looks, if you've seen previous versions, snapshots or previews of it, the button bar panel and the controls are not exactly the same as they once were. And it's a much more improved app thanks to the collaboration with Murray. So I thank him very much for that. And the other thing about this view is if you have multiple spouses, it connects each of the spouse with a solid line from the original. So Zara here is the original person in this chart, and each spouse has a different color line, if you can distinguish that. So James is here in green, and then we have, looks like Henry goes across in red, and Harold is in blue. And the order is supposed to be in the order of the marriage. If there is a marriage date given, then it aligns them that way.
I want to interject here that if somebody else is having an issue using the link that was posted, that link takes you just to the dynamic tree. But if you go up to the tree app and you use the drop-down menu, you can go to what he's actually showing us now, which is the super big family tree.
Yes.
I just went through that because I was like, my screen does not look like your screen, Greg. So I just figure that out.
Sorry about that. Yes, I gave you the generic link to that. Yeah, so you can.
You did.
I did. Yes. Well, because it's more diverse, but you're right. It wasn't going to take it to specific. Yeah.
Well, isn't that pretty? Yeah.
There we go. So there we go. Where was I? Oh,
sorry, I didn't mean to.
If you have a spouse who has more than say 3, then these lines get a little crazy. And the app there is still some development to do. There is some issues with drawing some different family patterns. And I'm going to put out a G2G post later today to ask people to check this out so that we can continue to improve it. But for example, if you put Brigham Young in, the number of spouses and the lines, it's a rat's nest because I have not figured out an efficient way to demonstrate multiple spouses that go beyond say 3 or 4 max. So I'll figure something out.
I like that. I do. That you can show your in-laws.
Yeah. So we will, let's move on to Betsy's closest. Anne-Émone Sauvage de Brant was her birth name. She was the daughter of François.
That didn't sound anything like what Betsy said earlier.
It's close-ish.
I defer to Greg.
Really? I was so shocked that you even tried, Betsy.
Yeah, that was good.
I think his French is way better than mine, I'm sure.
Well, I am married to a French teacher, so anyways, I've taken some French courses. I've got a little bit of it.
Coming up with more and more things that are just makes her so much. I'm so impressed you got married to her.
I know. Yes. And she's anyways, she was born. She was also the wife of Giscard d'Estaing, who was the president of France, which is how she fits into this category. Where's the okay? Yeah, wife of Valéry Giscard d'Estaing, president of France. She was born in 1933, the daughter of François de Brant, a member of the French resistance during World War II, who unfortunately died at a concentration camp. And then she married Valéry Giscard d'Estaing on the 17th of December, 1952 in Paris, and they had 4 children. Oh, and someone wants back in. Come on. Yes.
At least you're getting your exercise, Greg.
What's that?
At least you're getting your exercise.
Well, I'm just rolling the chair. It's not a lot of exercise, I'm afraid. Interestingly here, though, that her mother, Anémone, was a direct descendant of Charles X, King of France. So that's kind of cool. But she also has this Cuban planter as a great-grandfather and American great-grandmother. So interesting.
Wow, sorry.
So that's really interesting mix.
I just pushed a button on your tree app. I went, wow.
Oh, good.
I just saw cousins. I just found all the cousins.
The cousins are cool. Yes. So on this one, because Mag's just skipping ahead and talking about features. That's okay. That's okay. Glad you're excited.
Did you say something, Greg? I'm sorry.
No, that's okay. Well, because this profile talks about all of her interesting ancestors, one of the features, and again, this one is thanks to Murray, is you can put it in pedigree only mode, which initially turns off siblings and any in-laws that you might have had and hides any of the extra branches. And I haven't talked about those features yet, but I will shortly. And limits it to only the immediate person, their spouse and children, and then goes straight up through parents and grandparents and whatnot. And you can load up to 7 generations. And it stops at 7. It stops at 7 is the maximum number of ancestors generations and also the maximum number of descendant generations. So if you think about that, you could use this app to create basically 15 generations.
I'm going to try and break it.
7 up and 7 down. What's that?
I'm trying to break it.
Well, it might hang. For me, what happens with my laptop, after a while, then all of a sudden the fans turn on and I sound like I have a jet engine in the room with me because it's working a little hard. Now, so you can see here, it's going up and up. But I actually have a button here, this little one with the 4 arrows, that will recenter it. Now, it'll recenter it so it all fits on one page, but of course, that's pretty hard to read.
Where is the button with 4 arrows?
Up in the top right.
Oh, no, I don't have that.
Now, because this is on
I don't have that. I don't have that.
It's got to be there somewhere. Do you see the setting button?
Login is there. Do I have to log into my apps?
It's probably above or below, or maybe underneath.
Because
this is on the test server, that app login area wasn't.
Just found it.
You found it. Okay, yeah. I may have to do some tweaking to get this to look nicer on here, because basically I've taken this button bar and I've co-opted a spot on the header of the apps, the tree apps.
Yep. It was being hidden by the apps login.
And I don't know why this is up here, because it should be in the orange part.
Yep. Yeah, it's not
in
the
Jamie just updated this, like
Jamie broke it.
No, Jamie didn't broke. I broke it, but Jamie made it live so I could see that I'd broken it, because it's not broken on my test server. But I don't have some of the other stuff that this has. But she did this, like, it was past midnight. She woke up and she said, "Oh, I forgot to do this." And
okay, we're having a competition in the chat. Murray's
breaking it. Oh no,
it's getting harder to break. And then Judy says she just loves it.
Oh, good. Thanks, Judy. That's it. So, anyways, you can zoom in on my mouse pad, I'm just using 2 fingers to scroll to go down, and that zooms in. If you have a mouse wheel, that should also zoom in, or even the pinch to zoom should allow you to zoom as well. But there's actually 3 levels of zoom that you click on this, and it can cycle through, and it actually remembers.
I just did 7 generations, and it's spectacular, and it was just like that. Oh, wow. I just found something interesting.
Okay.
Oh.
So anyways, those ancestors that were mentioned in the profile are here, but I don't know where they are exactly. But if you click on anyone's profile, little card, the big version of it shows up. So if I click on this, I could go directly to Henriette, or I could open up Henriette's fan chart, descendancy chart, or a super big family tree. That's this icon here, with Henriette as the primary person in the middle. And also a link to biocheck Henriette's profile. So
I already played with that too.
You
know what? Do you want to see my issue, or do you want to just go ahead and continue?
I should I should probably go on and do a few more profiles. It's only 10:46. Oh my goodness. Jane Flanagan de Valera.
We've already done the photos, so.
We've done the photos. That's true. That's true. That buys me a few more minutes.
We have 3 ancestors to celebrate and a tip.
Okay. Okay then. Jane Flanagan de Valera. When I first read that name, I just thought, wow, that's. I wonder what country this is. Is this a Spanish? No. This is a Irish First Lady, who later changed her name from the anglicized version Jane to Sinead. Sinead Need Flanagan, daughter of Lawrence and Margaret Flanagan, Margaret Byrne, born in 1878 and baptized in County Dublin, Balbriggan, County Dublin. Her father was clerk of the works during the building of St. Peter's Church in Phibsborough. She got her first teaching post in County Offaly, and she had to learn some English from Eoghan O'Gramanay's books, and some from off of a policeman, Olayan Aaron, who was working in the area where she grew up. But she became, I don't know if obsessed is the right word. She was very intrigued, and she kept on learning Irish. She de-anglicized her name. She moved to a school in Dorset Street, one of the first schools to take advantage of the new interpretation of the National Board rules to allow the teaching of Irish. So she gained fluency. She began her teaching career, teaching beginner Irish, and eventually she married Eamon de Valera, who was the prime minister. The word for prime minister is I looked this up. I practiced it, and now I've Taisha. Taisha. You don't pronounce the C at the end, I don't think. Taisha, I think. So that's the prime minister. He was the second prime minister and the third president of Ireland, and that's her connection as First Lady of Ireland. And she continued on teaching Irish, became a professor at Leinster College. So.
Very good try.
I tried, yes. Looking at her tree, one of the options is the option to add in-laws, because, and this was my thought, and you don't see many family tree charts that allow you to show in-laws. But for me, when someone marries into the family, you want to know, and as genealogists, you always want to know, who were their parents and whatnot. And often it's interesting because you sometimes see the same set of parents, especially if siblings marry siblings or siblings marry cousins and whatnot. So I've added this option there. And if I go down a generation, I think you'll see another set there. You can see. So the in-laws just show up above the spouse. And I did have to, thanks to some testing early on, Riel Schmidt was one who tested this, and he he gave me an example. I don't know if it was his own or one of his relatives, a South African family, where there was when there was multiple spouses in a row, and the in-laws just didn't fit. They were overlapping each other, so I had to reformat them a bit. The in-laws I don't color code. I always leave in a gray so that you can tell the difference between the actual relatives or spouses married into the family and the in-laws of them. But you can turn that on or off, and it automatically adjusts the width in between as needed. And it's supposed to, if there are no in-laws at a specific generation, then it doesn't give you an extra gap. So it's supposed to have those sorts of smarts as well. Then moving on to Eleanor Anna Elizabeth Justine, born Eleanor Anna Elizabeth Justine Knapp, daughter of Georg Friedrich Knapp and Lydia Osipova von Korneghoff. I will skip the German biography and skip down to here. She was the second child of the economy professor, or economics professor, Georg Friedrich Knapp. Passed her exam as a teacher, so she became and founded a school where girls who could only attended elementary school could receive further education. She studied economics and demanded a minimum wage as early as 1906. And she was one of the first women who were allowed to study in Freiburg. She gave political speeches. She was on the ballot in 1919 for a German election, the first German election in which women could be voted for. She wasn't elected, though. And when the Nazis seized power, she was banned from giving future speeches. But after the war, she became a member of the parliament and advocated for daily warm meal for every pupil. Her husband was elected the first president of the Federal Republic of Germany. That's how she became a first lady. And during her time as first lady, she campaigned for mothers exhausted by the consequences of war to be given the opportunity to recover for a few weeks. And to this end, she founded the Mutter Genesungsgestorch in 1950. Don't you just love saying multi-syllable German words?
You're doing great, Greg.
I've heard a joke that the French just added extra consonants and vowels because they felt that their words needed to be bigger than the English.
That's right. And Germans don't believe in compound words. They just make it all one word, no spaces in between.
And there's no word for microwave.
Really? I didn't know that.
So microwave is microwave in German.
Oh, that's funny. Okay. And so this one, I have gone into the branches. So let me go back to this initial view. So again, remember I mentioned that the initial view is 2 generations of ancestors and one generation of descendants. Well, you can add multiple generations of ancestors, but you can also add, here we go. You can also add, along with going up for ancestors and down for descendants, you can go wide with branches. Now initially I called this feature cousins, but Murray suggested branches is actually a better description because it's sort of then the first level of branching out is by adding the aunts and uncles layer, which is basically the siblings of all your direct descendants. So your parents' siblings are your aunts and uncles. Your grandparents' siblings are your great aunts and great uncles. So that's why I sort of call this feature the aunts and uncles, but it's that branch. And then if you go down, your aunts and uncles' children become your first cousins. So this layer here. So if you look under, so Justus Liebig here is a brother of Catherine, and here are his children, which would be Georg's first cousins. And then you can go down and up to a level of third cousin. Third cousins is the maximum depth of this. Because I did have to put, I thought seventh cousins would be just a little bit ridiculous. Though I'm tempted sometimes looking at my own family tree, there's, I would like to have that fourth cousin level. So I don't know. I might be tempted to add fourth cousins at some point, but then I got to stop. I got for sure. But look at the kind of neat tree you get that way, eh? And in fact, I was checking my own out and I discovered there was one, and one of the reasons I thought of a fourth cousin, because there was a name up there and I thought, I recognize that name. And then I realized that it was someone who showed up on my DNA connections list, who just recently. And that's the connection. Like, so the person on my DNA list is actually a fourth cousin. So, but it's her father's there, but it's a last name that didn't show up anywhere else in my family tree. So anyways, so me and at least one other WikiTree show up on my super big family tree together. So that's kind of cool. Then we have Janet Rosalie Jagan, formerly Rosenberg. She was the 6th president of Guyana herself, but her husband was the 5th president. And when he died in 1997, she took over the role. And she was the president for 2 years until she resigned due to poor health. But we had met him initially in December 1942 when she was a student nurse at Cook County Hospital, and his name was Chetik Jagan. He was an Indo-Guyanese dentistry student and became a doctor, and then eventually became president of British Guiana. And what did I have to show on hers? I think I've gone through all of the main features. Let me just do a quick peek of the free space page that Murray has put together for the Super Big Family Tree app. And he's got it. There's quick ways to jump from one section to another. You can see there's an introduction about the app and the basic general things about the app and using it, the profile pop-up, the button bar, which is what you're going to want to use to navigate and to set things up. And then he goes through all of the different settings and with pictures and demonstrations. And so one of the really cool things he's done is he's taken each of the examples. So here, for examples, in terms of the, he gives how it looks when you apply different settings. So he's done that for names, for example, because there's lots of different ways of setting up names. So here's, if you use first name at birth, last name at birth, if you use the usual name, if you use the middle name, like, so he's done a phenomenal job of this.
Aha! Sorry, I just found it. Thank you, Murray.
I did too. I'm madly searching for it.
Nobody is watching the show ananymore.
Oh, no.
They're just playing away.
Anyways, well, let me just say, Murray is amazing. And not only he's documenting this, but he's also as he was doing it, he was finding things. Well, it'd be nicer if it did this, or what about that? And that's that collaboration. I mean, that's WikiTree is all about collaboration, right? That has just made the app so much better. So it's good that it didn't come out in October when I initially intended it to.
What is leaf code?
What's that?
Leaf code.
Oh, the leaf code. Well, okay, so let me show you. For each person, I've hidden that, but let me turn it back on again. So when I was initially programming it, every person, every leaf, well, I call it leaf. Every leaf on this tree has a unique code, so I can pinpoint where they are and how they're related to the initial person. So A0 is like ground zero. So Janet Rosenberg, that's the profile person.
Gotcha.
And then, okay, and then the code, there's either a P for partner, R for parent, and it's either parent male or parent female. And then children, what did I use for them? K for kids, I think. Anyway,
sorry,
so,
I didn't mean to make you go down that tangent.
That's okay. Anyways, I use it for programming. I left it in there so that if I do need to, especially since we're still sort of, there's still some beta testing, it helps me figure out where they showed up or why they're missing or that sort of thing. So, but you can turn it off. You don't need it at all. But if you wanted, one of the other features here is you could put your WikiTree ID so that every person in the chart, you can start with their WikiTree ID up top, which makes it a really easy way to navigate to, or to keep track of that. So I think I've shown most of the features. I showed pedigree, in-laws. I think I've shown all those buttons up there. Oh, the one thing I haven't shown is the privatize, which,
oh yeah.
if I, well, basically, this one is pretty. Anyone who's living will automatically. It just won't show any details except for the word living.
It shows it for me, but
because you're logged in and you have access.
Okay.
But if I went back to say, Rosalind. All the people who are still living, including her husband, just get the word living. So if you're, and I did that, that was one of the early things I added, because if I'm showing this off and I'm using my own family, which I often do, this is a quick way to safeguard myself from myself. So I'm not showing off too much stuff that I shouldn't be.
Gotcha.
Okay. And I think that's basically the only thing I haven't shown. And then there's this little information button, which links to some other things. There we go. Let's finish off these profiles. Imelda Marcos, First Lady, married to Ferdinand Marcos, and she has a very short profile.
But she had lots of shoes.
But she had lots of shoes, and I was looking for pictures of shoes. No one has added the pictures of shoes on this page. I don't know why that is. Then we have Mori Matsuko, who was born in Chibuken on the 31st of July, 1917, daughter of Mori Nobeturu. So remember, she's Japanese, and she was married to the Japanese Prime Minister of Japan, Miki Takeo. So Mori is actually her family name, surname. Matsuko was her first name, her given name. I don't know if they call it that exactly, but she also supported liberal causes, specifically pacifism and relations between the Democratic People's Republic of North Korea, and Japan for compensation. Sadly, she died of colon cancer. Anna Elizabeth Christina Beckfries Palma, she's from Stockholm, and she was a child psychologist, chairwoman, and she was married to the Sven Olof Joachim Palma, who was president or prime minister, the leader of Sweden, and I can't remember whether it's a president or a prime minister at this point. Prime minister twice, until he was assassinated, I believe. Is he the one who was assassinated? Anyways, I'm pretty sure that he was assassinated. Then we have other Canadian, Marion Elspeth Moody Pearson, who was married to Lester B. Pearson, also known as Mike to all his friends. She was originally a student of his when he was a history professor at U of T. They were married in 1925 in Winnipeg in a double ceremony, and along with her sister, who was also married. And her famous quote is, "Behind every successful man, there stands a surprised woman."
Ouch.
I think that's hilarious. Then Jahan Sadat, wife of the First Lady of Egypt, wife of Anwar Sadat until his assassination. Born in Cairo, her father was a surgeon. She met her husband, future husband, at her 15th birthday party, and within a year they were married. She was 15, he was 30.
Oh, my.
But he was a local hero among Egyptian people. He was fighting against, he was anti-government activities, later overthrew the Egyptian monarchy. I guess I knew that Egypt had a king, but I didn't realize it was just as recent as 1952
that is recent.
Mm-hmm. Lots of upheaval in the Middle East at that time.
Yeah. So she became First Lady of Egypt when her husband became president, and she served until his assassination. Of course, after that, not so much First Lady. And sadly, she also died of cancer at the age of 87, though. Oh, okay. So
Only
Sophia.
12 o'clock. Don't worry about it.
No, I'm looking at the pronunciation. Sophia Schmetonier Shadakowskaite Schmetana. That's more or less, that's sort of it. First Lady to the President of Lithuania. She was a member of the Shadakowski family, or Shadakauskas, from Lithuania, married the future first president of Lithuania, Antanas Smetona, and they had 3 children. So he was president briefly at the end of the First World War, April 1919 to June 1920. And then they fled Lithuania ahead of the Soviet occupation. But he had a second run as from 1926 to 1940. And then they fled to Cleveland. And so her death place, Cleveland, Cuyahoga, Ohio, is much easier to pronounce than her name or birthplace, Panaveshish. And then that's it. That's all the profile.
Do you need a
What's
tissue?
that? There we go. There are the profiles and a preview of the app you can see on the Tree apps.
I found a second bug.
Oh, okay. I'll have to look at those bugs after, because we got to give Betsy some more time.
Thanks, Greg. That was really, really interesting. And I'm going to rewatch and play some more. So let's see. Let's celebrate some ancestors. So I've got to share my screen. Okay. So, sorry, I'm just going to come up here. All right. So Chris, I lost my screen. Okay. Sorry. Share screen. And there. Okay.
There we go.
We got it. So this is the profile for Kenneth Voorhees, who is the father of WikiTree or Christina Adams. And his birthday is actually, we could have deferred so that we celebrated his birthday on the actual day, but I decided to Christina was the first one to answer the post. So we're going to celebrate him a week early. He was born on December 9th, 1923. So he would have been 100 years old.
Oh.
Christina writes, I really miss my dad. He would have been 100 on December 9th. He's been gone for 19 years. Wow. We will celebrate the day for him.
Don't cry, Greg.
That's sad.
And we have some really nice pictures here. So in the bio, Christina writes about how he, let's see, his parents were both lawyers. He grew up in Iowa. And after graduating high school, he joined the Coast Guard. And during his time on the mainland, while he was stationed in the Coast Guard, he met Marty Henry at the USO, where she was entertaining, playing piano. And they married in March 1944. And shortly thereafter, he was shipped to the Marshall Islands. And then once the war ended, he and Marty returned to California. And he was an accountant. And they spent their retirement years traveling with no home base for 7 years. Eventually, they settled in Apache Junction, Arizona, finally Paradise, California. They passed away within 48 hours of each other and were honored in a joint funeral.
I have a question. If they were in Paradise, California, did their property and family, did they all survive the fires? Because I thought Paradise got completely wiped out.
I don't know.
That's more sadness.
Yeah. I guess it would depend on dates. But yeah, beautiful, beautiful photo here.
It is.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So thank you, Christina, and happy early birthday to your dad.
Nice.
Now, our next ancestor is not really. I'm going there. Not really I'm sorry. I just lost my screen again.
That's okay.
Oh.
We can tap dance till you get back.
Okay, are we good? No. Now
there it is.
Okay. John Harwood Pierce and Kay Smith wrote in, this is more, well, first of all, if you look closely at the profile, there's not any birth, marriage, death linked to December. But Kay Smith writes that he's her 15th cousin and he is colorful. And it's said that out of his many favorite roles to play, Santa Claus was high up on the list. So, and she puts out a challenge to WikiTreeers to collaborate and converge on the profile to prove, disprove, and improve. So it is. I was looking at the profile, and I noticed he was born in Quebec, but came to the United States sort of early in life. A lot of this information is drawn from this page, which it's written on the profile that Barbara Case was one of his granddaughters. But certainly there, and you can see why he would play Santa Claus. I can see that. So I this morning when I was reading this, I saw one little thing I could do. I added him to the category for Los Angeles National Cemetery where he's buried. But if someone is looking for a little project, could collaborate with Richard, who's the profile manager. And our third ancestor is Pat Miller's father. So there's a photo. So her parents got married on, let's see, they got married on December 18th, 1942. Her father, John R. Miller, spent over 2 years trying to convince her mother, Evelyn, to marry him. He wrote an advice columnist. He proposed 5 or 6 times and called this period of his life the campaign. And her mom would not accept or refuse. She just said, we'll see, maybe. And finally, on Valentine's Day, 1942, he showed up without roses or chocolates and just asked again. Mom said yes. They were married in a wartime civil service. And when Pat was an adult, she asked her mother why the delay. And she said she knew he was the right one. She just wasn't ready to be married. But that I think that smile just says it all. They look radiant. It's lovely.
So. Cute, cool.
Yeah.
Nice.
Now let's see. I have a tip.
Okay.
And it is about looking for duplicates in your watch list. And this is like a really targeted way to look for possible merges that need to be made, rather than just waiting to be, sent a merge request or seeing it as you're creating a profile. This goes sort of deeper, and it's interesting. So the best way to do it is you go to your watch list, and then up at the top along this horizontal menu list, you're going to see find matches. So when you do that, you're going to get, I did that for myself, and you're going to get results like this: find ancestor matches. And I'm skipping a screen where, by the way, you would see, you could tweak parameters a little bit, like for dates and whatnot, dates and locations. But this is what you're going to get. I have quite a number of possible things. Now you can tell that some of them you can just discount right away because the surname is clearly different, or the location is different. For instance, the first one that comes up, Walter Everly, I know he was born, lived, and died in Indiana. So this possible match with Delaware, I know is not something that I have to worry about. But if you go to, I lost my screen again. Okay. So I'm going to, sorry, I have to scroll. To get down to one of my tutors.
I'm reading a book about the Tudors.
There we go. What was that?
I'm reading a book about the Tudors.
Is it good? Which one is it?
It's the Princes in the Tower. It's the newest whodunit by Philippa. I don't remember.
Gregory, right?
No. It's the woman who found Richard the Third's grave.
Oh, interesting.
It's like hot off the presses.
Yeah. Very cool.
Yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
Okay. Sorry. So here, wait a minute. Okay. Here we have Edward Tudor, and you can see possible matches for Edward Tudor, and you can see that we both have the exact same birthday. So yeah, what I'm going to do is I'm going to hit compare. Okay, and you're not seeing that, are you?
No, we're not. But
we're seeing you click it, but we're not seeing what's coming up.
Yeah. There we go. Now do you see it?
Now we can.
Okay. So it does a side-by-side comparison with my profile on the left and the other profile on the right. I think it's very clearly the same person. This other person does have a mother, which I don't have.
It looks like the fathers are also conflated.
Yes. Yeah. I think that was later down the list. So I would want to check into this a little bit more. They have children unknown, whereas I have quite a number of the children. I don't have siblings. So yeah, this is one that I would, and there's no profile manager. So I should take an hour or so and dive into this and get this merged away. So that is great. That's my tip.
That is excellent. I did not know about that one.
No, well, I think I knew about it, but I haven't ever taken it that deep.
Yeah,
I haven't gone as deep as what you did. Thank you very much for that. We don't have information up on the G2G post about the things coming up this week. Aowen's dealing with some family stuff. That's cool. We all get to do that sometimes. But as the social butterfly, the WikiTree social butterfly, can you imagine her floating through the trees?
Oh, yes.
Yes.
She does have links up for this week. So here you are with us, the Saturday Roundup. The question of the week for Monday, we don't know what it'll be yet, but that'll be posted. So you can give some links when she gets that. Ricotta is the one name for this week.
Yummy.
Ricotta. Now, is that the name that's the cheese? I mean, did they did they discover the cheese?
Cannolis.
Cannolis, yeah. Oh, we have a real Italian deli right down the street, and you have to go on Thursday early to get a cannoli because they sell out. Kingston, Dorset is the place study. The U.S. Black Heritage Project is the project showcase. Don't have the connection finder up yet, but that'll be coming. The Rock and Roll Hall of Fame is the spotlight of the week. Are you connected to Chuck? Greg?
Yeah. I don't know.
And then you get to see us again next week.
Yay.
So, and there's a lot of other stuff going on. Check out the G2G post once Aowen gets that posted.
I can tell you that. Yeah, I can tell you one of the things that's going on this coming week is the Ask Alesh, and it's going to be a day early. It's going to be Tuesday this week because Alesh had another appointment on the Wednesday. So Tuesday at 9:00 Eastern time, Alesh and I will be talking about WikiTree Plus and all the cool, neat things you can do with that.
That is so good because WikiTree Plus, I mean, WikiTree is so mind-blowingly big. It truly is. Everything. There's so much going on WikiTree. It's so cool. It's so cool that it's not mind-blowing, but it can be. Gosh, can you imagine being a newbie? I can't imagine. I came in 10 years ago.
How did you feel about it then? Did you feel overwhelmed 10 years ago?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Okay. And that wasn't even here yet. WikiTree Plus wasn't even here yet. All the stuff, I was overwhelmed. all of my questions in G2G were, how do I remember where I was? I wanted breadcrumbs on the pages, and Chris was like, no, I don't want to put breadcrumbs on the pages. But finally I figured out I just had to bookmark stuff. As soon as I found something, I needed to bookmark it because I couldn't get back to it. That was my biggest thing. And that's also why I started working with the Greeters Project, and then ended up leading the Greeters Project for a couple of years, because I wanted to help people like me who came in and were overwhelmed. I wanted to help the newbies coming in. So what was the whole point of this? Oh, was it as overwhelming for me when I first started? Yeah.
WikiTree is big.
Yeah, 10 years ago. Yeah, it was. It was huge then, and it's ginormous now. That's a real word, ginormous. Look it up in the dictionary. We appreciate you all being here, and we will see you next week.
Sounds good.
Are you staying for a minute?
I'm staying.
Okay.
Yeah, show me your bugs.
I will.
And anyone email me if you have my links in the. I'm on WikiTree.
Greg Clark with an E.
Greg Clark, yes, that's right.
Bye, everyone.